This week's portion is not only known as Vayikra, but it's actually the entire book. The third book of the Torah we begin this week. It's known as Vayikra or Leviticus. It's called Leviticus in English because it comes from the word Levite. And the truth is, most of the book deals with Levitical concerns. It's a book that deals to a great extent with the ritual sacrifices that were offered in the temple, in the wandering tabernacle during the desert, throughout the entire biblical period. Now, we have to admit this is not the most exciting portion. I've had families who have a bar or bat mitzvah on that particular week, and they start reading the portion, they come in a little bit upset, like, Rabbi, what are we supposed to talk about? What's going on here? How you sacrifice this animal, what you do with the blood, what you do with that, how you put it on the altar. We haven't done that in 2,000 years, yet we still read about it. It's a very important concept, but we have to translate it into modern terms. What's happening in this whole section deals with sacrifices. Well, the question is when do you bring a sacrifice? It's a response to something in one's life. So let's take a good example. One response is called the Korban Todah. Todah is a word we're pretty familiar with, right? Thank you. A thank you sacrifice, a thanksgiving sacrifice. In other words, our ancients, the Bible is looking for a way, how do you express a sense of gratitude? And they said expressing a sense of gratitude, we call in Hebrew hakarat hatov, recognizing the good that someone has done for me, has to be something very concrete. I have to do something to show my gratitude. We're always teaching our children, when someone gives them something, does something for them, what do we always say? Say thank you. Don't forget to say thank you. Tagit todah, say thank you. Because we understand that the ability to give thanksgiving is such a basic human emotion, and it's how we grow. It's how we get outside ourselves. Children are basically selfish in the sense that they're concerned about themselves. We want to teach them how to be concerned about others. So we say thank you. Express your thanks by doing this for the person in recognition of what they did for you. It's something we work out in our homes. It's something we work out in our schools. We work it out in our religious institutions, our synagogues, our churches, wherever it might be. A sense of gratitude and thanksgiving because it makes us better people. It makes us a better society as well. So what's happening in Vayikra, in this book, is they're saying, how do you learn to say thank you? Now, it's a very important moment in the biblical narrative, because what have we had up to now? We had the exodus from Egypt, the freedom from slavery, the gift of the Ten Commandments, the building of the tabernacle, the place of worship of God in the desert. All this God has done for the people of Israel. Now we get to the third book, which, by the way, is a central book, right? Because there's 2 books before, 2 books after. It's right in the middle. And it says, wait a second. All this that God did for us, all this that Moses did for us, we need a way to say, Todah, thank you. And we have to do it not just as individuals, we have to do it as a community. So the way they did it was, they would bring a sacrifice, an offering to the altar. We do it in a different way. We bring a sacrifice. What do? We give our time to help someone out. We give donations. We give charity. We make a sacrifice because we want to say thank you to the community. We want to help others. It's our expression. It's how we get out of ourselves and say, I'm not the only person in the world. I'm not the only family in the world. I'm part of a community. I have to express my thanks to the community. I have to give back to my community. What do we always talk about with the bar bat mitzvah? What are you going to give back to the community for all it's done for you? And it's a very important Jewish value, giving back to the community, saying thank you. So what Vayikra is telling us to do, think about that which is important in your life and learn how to respond to it. Another sacrifice is a sin offering. We make a mistake, and the Torah says, bring a sin offering. So they're telling us, when you make a mistake, you have to do something to undo it. It's not enough just to say, I don't feel good about that. I feel bad. No, fix it. Do something. Undo what you did. If it was a moment of selfishness, and say, I was a little bit selfish there. What I need to do is I'm going to take some of my very important time, my leisure time on a Sunday, whatever it might be, and I'm going to give it back to the community. Because I have to teach myself not to be totally selfish with my time. So whatever it might be, it's a response. The Torah is saying, you've got to do something. That's what the sacrificial system was about. Come to the altar, make a sacrifice, and each sacrifice had a name. And that name expressed the value. And we have to translate that into the modern world, which we've done with so many things. Tzedakah, giving charity. Gemilut chesed, deeds of loving kindness. Prayers of thanksgiving. Expressing appreciation. Hakarat tov, showing someone that we appreciate what they've done for us. We have learned to translate this book of Vayikra into a medium which we understand in our period of time. So we go back and read that ancient text, and it reminds us of those things of important value in our lives that we need to find a way to give expression to. We don't do it by sacrifices, but we have new ways that have developed throughout the thousands of years since the destruction of the temple and the end of the sacrificial system, which has given us our Jewish identity and our Jewish path. So we return to this ancient text this week to remind ourselves of how we're going to give expression to the important things that we experience in our life. It's a good lesson. It's a beautiful book, particularly in a few weeks when we get the ethical content of the book, which reminds us that ritual and ethics are hand in hand. One cannot perform ritual without being ethical, and without the ritual, it's very hard to teach ethics. So our religious worship, our religious practice goes hand in hand with our ethical teachings, and that's what the book of Vayikra, the centerpiece of the Torah, has come to teach us. Shabbat Shalom.